welcome to our home. I am Dr. Damon, and this is my beautiful wife,
Shontae.
and we're the Smiths, and this is Richer or Poor Marriage Podcast. We're excited to have you joining us. Tonight, we are going to jump into some things. Hopefully, you guys will get to know us a little bit better, get to understand who we are, and learn a little bit about our love story. Our goal for this podcast is to sort of express the richness and the wealth that can take place in a marriage if you exercise some intentionality. We understand that marriage is a multifaceted thing, and because it is, we understand that there are times where you may feel rich in spirit, you may feel rich emotionally, you may feel rich mentally, you may feel rich financially, but then there may be times in your marriage where you feel a bit poor, and there's some poverty in some areas where it may be some poorness of emotion and health and finances and mentally and physically. And so the whole thing is a process of growing together, because if we grow together, then we have an opportunity to make it. And so the whole idea behind this podcast is just to attack those issues and to discuss that. We're going to discuss some things. We're going to bring some couples in to share their story and discuss their life and some things. And hopefully through the process, we'll all grow in our relationships. We'll grow in our marriages. And we'll create an environment and an atmosphere and a community that can literally change the world.
Yes.
You ready?
I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, MC, drop that beat.
Drop the beat.
All right, so because this is the first podcast, sweetie, let's take some time to allow the viewing audience to get to know who we are.
Okay.
And if you're watching for the first time, feel free to hit that subscribe. Or if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, feel free to follow us and set your notifications so that when we drop something, you'll get it. But anyway, let's jump in.
All right, let's go.
So, one of the things that we thought would be interesting to talk about was, can you share with the viewing audience your first impression when we met? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Okay, so my first impression of when we met. Well, first of all, where we met. So I met him at my sister's house. I met him at my sister's house. He was actually coming down my sister's to take her some roses. This was something that he did, I don't know for how long, but he used to have a little crush on my sister. But just so happened when he got there, I was actually there. Now, this was the first time that I actually saw him. So my first impression of him was, he's a gentleman. He's a nice guy. Okay. So those were some impressions that I saw when I initially saw you.
Okay. So you didn't have that impression that this guy, he thinks he's smooth or he a player or whatever?
No, I didn't get that at all.
Oh, that's wonderful.
No.
Yeah, I remember when I walked through the door, and I would like to say that my eyes caught your eyes, and my inner man just melted, but that didn't happen.
Okay.
No, but for real, I was bringing your sister some flowers. I was with one of my best friends at the time, Big Charlie. Rest in heaven, Big Charlie. But I was hanging out with Big Charlie. He gave me a ride to your sister's to bring her flowers for her birthday, and she introduced me to you. And I didn't really think anything of it at the time. I was just like, hey, nice to meet you. Gave your sister the flowers, and then me and Big Charlie got back in the car because we were planning on hanging out that night. But then, fast forward a month later, At this time, I'm by myself. It's actually my birthday, and I had just got my car back, so it was a milestone in my life. The funny thing is, when I first met you, I didn't have a car because my car had been repossessed,
Right? Remember?
and so I was pumped because I had just got my car back, and so I was coming by your sister's again, to hang out, and had my car. I'm excited, and she's not there, but you're there, and and you're there, and you were supposed to be on a date, but the guy who you were supposed to go out with stood you up,
Stood me up.
dummy, if I could say that. He could have all that wonderful beautifulness that's sitting over there, but that's all me. That's all me right here. But anyway, so he stood you up, and so you just happened to be there, and I was like, hey, if you're not doing anything, why don't you go to the movies?
I think we actually said it together, like simultaneously we said it at the same time. Hey, how about us go to the movies?
Yeah,
I got dumped. You were
not doing anything.
Yeah, it was on your birthday. You weren't doing anything, so it worked out.
It worked out, and so we go to the movies. We do not remember what we saw,
We do not.
but that's not because we were in the theater making out or anything. We just don't remember.
We just don't
Because
remember.
it wasn't really.
It wasn't.
It wasn't really a.
We didn't know
think
what
of it.
was going to
Right,
happen.
right.
We just wound up going to the movies. So it was just like, hey, let's just go to the movies. And that's what it really was. So I don't even think anything in that moment, like nothing really sparked. We were just out hanging out.
Yeah, it was just a movie,
It was just a movie.
and so after the movie, I dropped you off, and I don't think maybe we exchanged numbers. I really don't remember, but the idea was that okay, later on we'll connect because the funny thing is one of my best friends at the time, he had a crush on you.
Fact.
And so we were supposed to do like a double date type of thing, and that didn't work out because we messed it up.
Yeah. We messed it up big time.
We was kind of was we sneaking around? We ain't gonna say
I
we was
don't
sneaking
know.
around.
I don't
But
know.
we ain't really tell nobody.
We didn't tell anybody.
that
So
we
I
was
don't.
talking on the
yeah.
phone.
So I don't think it was
Yeah.
sneaking around. I just think we just failed to mention
Okay.
that we were talking on the phone
Yeah.
and we
had went to the movie.
had went to the movies.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So
but let me just say this. Even though we went out, my sister and you were not dating. My sister did not like you.
Yeah.
Right? So let's make that known. So nobody don't be thinking she's dating her sister. Nope. My sister did not like him. So
nope. She didn't like.
she did not like him. But that worked out for me, right?
Hey.
Hey, it worked out for me.
21 years
So,
later.
21 years later, so it worked out. So I
Actually,
just felt the
what?
need to say
23
that.
years later. So.
23.
But 21 years of marriage.
Yes.
So
yes.
it worked out for both of us.
It did.
So
Yes.
I ain't mad at you, sis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
But anyway, so we get together, and so the funny thing is, you didn't mention this, but you've told me over the years that one of the things you did know at that time when we first met was that I aspired to be a physician, that I was going to be a doctor.
Yes.
Right.
I did know that.
Okay. And so the interesting thing about it is at that time, I think I was studying to take a test, and I had the MCAT exam that I had taken in early August of, what was that, 99? I think that was 99. Yeah, 1999. And so I had taken tests, and when you take a test like that, you don't get the results back for, a month or two. And so now, fast forward, it's October, and I hadn't received my test results. And then it's a Wednesday evening. And the reason I know it's a Wednesday evening is because we would typically, or I would typically go to church, to like a Bible study on a Wednesday night. And so I get my test results early in the day. and I was extremely disappointed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was distraught. Like, my heart literally fell out my chest because I was so hurt because I had invested so much time into preparing to take this exam, and not to get the results that I expected was a little disheartening. And so um, I actually went to church that night because I'm thinking, like, if I go to church, maybe God will help me get over this hurt and pain. But it didn't happen that way. I still was feeling kind of bad after church.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I had a conversation with you on the phone, and you was like, well, I'm going to come over. I'm going to come get you. We're going to go out. And so after church, mind you, just like 9:30, 10 o'clock, you come over past the house to
And I think I was driving.
yeah,
I
you
was
were
driving
driving at this
my
time.
parents' blue car.
Yeah.
Remember that blue car?
And you came and got
And I
me.
came and got you
Came and got me. And we went out
to the Motel 6 on Route 4.
was it Motel 6? It was a motel. That's crazy. See?
Motel.
She came
Motel.
out to comfort her brother, y'all. She came. I tell you, we supposed to be church people. And she came out to comfort her brother at the Motel 6.
I did.
Anyway, it's funny because
Well,
I just left
no.
church and you took me to the hotel.
We were still babies in Christ. At least I was. Let me just say that. We were still babies in Christ. So we still were learning. I just started my walk not too long ago. So, I wasn't fully there.
Look, you can tell people whatever you want.
I wasn't.
The truth is, you came, pulled up, and you took me to the hotel.
I did.
I didn't ask to go to the hotel.
Yeah, well, we was just going to the hotel just to talk. I was just going to take you to the hotel to comfort you.
Look, exactly. You was taking me to the hotel to comfort me.
I did. Did I not?
You did. And 9 months later, I was comforted with a beautiful baby girl.
Yes.
Believe it or not. A
Yes.
beautiful baby girl.
Yes.
So anyway, it's funny because that experience, even early on, in our life and in our courtship, we experienced some of the ups and downs of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
For me, coming into the relationship, first I met you after having my car repoed. So, you gotta think, okay, either I'm not in the best position financially
Mm-hmm.
when we meet, got some potential, but haven't put it all together, right? And then,
And I was a GNA at that time.
yeah, you were a geriatric nursing assistant.
Yes, I was a geriatric nursing assistant at that time.
And so it's not like we were balling in any capacity or anything.
Not at all.
It was early on. We were young, trying to figure things out, trying to find our way. And we just happened to find each other at an opportune time. And for me, the fact that you believed enough in the fact that I believed that I could be a doctor sort of stands out to me even now when I sit here and think about it, because, I grew up in Baltimore. Like, in the neighborhood I grew up in, you ain't see no doctors. You might have saw some pharmacists, but you ain't see no doctors.
Right.
And when I say pharmacists, you know what I mean. And not no CVS or Walgreens. I'm talking about some Nino Browns and some
Yes.
The Wire. Anyway, but that's what I saw. But you believed enough in my dream that I could be a doctor. I mean, that says a lot about you. So I don't think I ever thanked you for that. So I'm gonna thank you right here and now. Thank you for
You're welcome.
believing in that initial possibility or that initial potential.
You're welcome.
You look like you wanted to say something.
Well, I think even with that, you thanking me, I think I should thank you as well. I mean, this happened a little further along in our marriage. Probably no, I don't even think it happened during our marriage. I think it's happened prior to us getting married. It did. It happened prior to us getting married. You when I was going to LPN school, and LPN school, it was getting rough, it was getting tough, and I was like, I want to quit. I was like, I'm done. It's too hard. And I was like, I don't want to continue on. But what you did for me that helped me so greatly was you said everything you do, you never complete, you never finish. You never complete anything that you start. And that was so true because I didn't, that's all I really knew. That's all I really knew is you start something, you stop when it gets too hard. But what you did for me, you pushed me and you encouraged me to see that quitting and giving up was really not wasn't the answer, and it shouldn't really be an option. So I want to thank you for that because that's all I knew how to do was to quit. I never finished anything that I started. And from that day on, you telling me that and you expressing to me, you don't finish anything that you start, that helped me in such a great way because from that day on, I really didn't know how to not finish. So even now in my obedient with doing the things that God has called me to do and calling us to do, I don't know how to quit. So that's not even though I may have those moments where I want to, I'm feeling a certain kind of way, but I don't feel like I want to quit. I don't want to give up. I don't want to throw in a towel because of those words that you said to me. And even though they were tough words at the moment, but they were tough words that really changed really how I thought. It changed the way I saw things. It changed the way how I looked at things and how I went into things, knowing that, hey, if you do this, you're not going to quit. You're not going to give up because guess what? You wasn't going to let me quit. And I thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're right. I'm not gonna let you quit, no matter
No.
how much you want to. You
And that's a
know.
blessing to have a man in your life, a husband in your life that won't allow you to quit, that won't allow you to give in to the things that you want to give into. So that's definitely a blessing.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because that was a tough conversation, and a lot of times we try to avoid hard conversations because, especially early on in a relationship, because you don't want to hurt or offend the person you're dating,
Correct.
right? You want it to be all peaches and roses and smelling sweet and all the fuzzy feelings and all of that. But when it comes to having real hard conversations, I think sometimes that's important, especially when you're trying to build a relationship, when you're trying to build a family, when you're trying to build a marriage. And so I think that, the fact that you were able to actually receive that from me, right? And not be offended by it, it speaks volumes about you. It speaks volumes about the respect that you have for me. And so I think that's important. I know as a man, one of the things men look for in their relationships is for their lady, their woman, their wife to respect them. And so I think I had that early on in our relationship. And so, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, I think too, as far as the respect and, the honor and the love, I think we had good examples. So we had good examples of what that looked like. And I think that made a great difference, that added to our lives, that added to our marriage, because we had great examples. My parents been, not my biological dad, but of course my mother and my stepfather, who really raised me, have been married for what, 42, 43 years?
Yeah, 43, I think.
Yeah, and your parents been married for what, 47 years. So we
47.
had great examples as to what it should look like, right?
Yeah.
And one thing I remember, when we were dating, always remember when I was at your parents' house, when your dad came in the house, he greeted your mother. I thought that was so, like, I was like, I want that. They always greeted each other with a kiss. But what I did love is, as you and I continued to move forward, when you came into the house and when you saw me, you always greeted me with a kiss and a hug. Or sometimes it may just be a kiss, sometimes it may be both. But that was something that you had saw and you had brought into our marriage, into our relationship from the very beginning, because we knew that we were going to get married eventually, right? We knew that. Yes, we did. I'm talking about after, well, because we missed some parts too.
Yeah,
We
I
missed some
mean,
parts. But it's
we
all good. We'll get to it. We might have to track back, go a little back a little bit. But anyway, we had great examples. So I think that says a lot, about us as a married couple. We had great examples.
yeah, yeah. And now that you mentioned it, I am appreciative of my parents and their relationship. Even though, they were great examples, there are some things I take and I model after, but, there's some things that we sort of have to do on our own and sort of
Right.
figure out on our own. We got to figure out what works for us in certain situations. And so, um, one of the things that I wanted to highlight in this particular podcast is the fact that there have been some moments in our life that have drawn us closer, right? And one of the things that I think of right off the top is, and I love telling this story because it was one of those, it's an emotional story for me because number one, it deals with finances, right? And this is Rich or Poor Marriage Podcast. But number two, it brought us closer together, and it helped me to grow as a man and as a husband. And so here we go. So when we were in medical school, right? I was going through medical school, and I believe at that time you were studying nursing at TSU. I was at Meharry Medical College, and I was going into my third year. And in the third year of medical school, for those who don't know, in the third year of medical school, you have to you start rotations, right? So that means you go into the hospital setting where you go through rotations, and you might go through pediatrics, you might go through internal medicine, you might go through family medicine, surgery, psychiatry, and these are in different locations in different hospitals. And so in the beginning of my medical school journey, Shontae would take me to school every day, and she would drop me off, and then she might pick me up. But going into the third year, we needed a second car. We needed a second vehicle. And so the whole summer I'm looking at cars like, okay, I need something that's going to be reliable. I need something that I think would be nice because I like nice stuff. So I wanted it, of course, to look nice. But the most important thing to me was that it be affordable. And so, I had my refund check from school, that, that came in at the beginning of the school year. And I'm thinking, okay, we're going to take part of this refund check. We're going to get us a second car so that I could have transportation to get back and forth to these rotations. And so at that time, I'm going online, doing my research. I find this car on eBay Motors, and I'm excited. I show you the car.
We pumped.
I think it was like a 2000 or 2004 Honda Accord or something like that. And it was $2,500.
Really nice.
$2,500. And I'm thinking, man, this is a nice car for $2,500. So I'm excited. And so I'm corresponding with the owner of this vehicle. We're going back and forth online. And he's like, okay, all right, so if you want the car, you can have it. What we'll do is set up an escrow account. You can put the money in escrow. I'll send the car to you. You can have it checked out. And once you get it checked out and you're happy with it, then we can have the money removed from escrow and it'll be yours and I can have the money. And I'm like, bet. That sounds great. And so I moved money from this refund check. Really, after we paid the rent, this was all the money we had left. And I moved it from our bank account into this quote unquote escrow account. And so I'm sitting there waiting to get this car.
Waiting. And I'm like, sweetie, where's the car? Did the car get here yet? Where's the car? And you're like, no, they said it's going to be here soon. And I'm like, oh, sweetie, did the car get here yet? Oh, no, the car not here yet. We waiting for it. They said they going to deliver it. So time has gone by that we have been waiting for this car. And I'm pumped. He's pumped. But I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you starting to ask a whole bunch of questions. And I'm starting to feel a little
pressure,
a little nervousness, like anxiety, like what is going on? Why haven't this car got here yet? And then I go to look for the money and the money is gone. And so I'm thinking, like, if this is an escrow account, how could they get the money without my approval? But I hadn't done enough research because Western Union does not have escrow accounts. But I was tricked into putting my money into a Western Union escrow account. Later finding out Western Union doesn't have escrow accounts. And so this person took our money and we didn't get no car.
We did not get no car.
So I think that was the first time I literally cried in our relationship. I mean, because I had to come to you and say, number one, I had to like humble myself. And I had to come to you and say, like, look, I did something dumb. I did something stupid and I gave away all the money that we had left for this car and we're not going to have a car. And so going through that was hard, number one, because I cried. I think that's the first time that I cried. Like, I mean, as a man, I'm like.
I can still envision
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Tears just start running down my, because I was hurt. Yeah. Number one, because we were dependent on it, and it was all we had.
It was all we had.
And so, you accepted my apology, because I did apologize. Like, I did something that was not smart. I thought I did my due diligence, but it didn't work in our favor. And so you basically took me in your arms and told me it was going to be okay and that we were going to get through it. And, since that time, you never threw it in my face. Like, that's something that really sticks with me. The fact that even though I could do something like that and completely jeopardize our livelihood, right? And at any given time, you could easily throw that in my face when it comes to making a financial decision, but you never did. And so, going through that experience really helped me to grow as a man, number one. But I think it helped us grow in our relationship too, because my trust deepened with you, and the way I cared for you deepened, and I could really see and appreciate like the love that you had for me because of the love you displayed in that moment, and that you continue to display it over and over and over again, really helped me. Um, even now when it's time to make a hard financial decision, I know that whatever I say, you're going to accept it and you're going to believe that, we're going to do what's best for our family. And so, I think it stems from that experience and going through that with you. You remember that?
I remember.
How did you feel in that moment?
I was disappointed, of course, but what was me beating you down going to accomplish? It
Yeah.
wasn't going to accomplish anything. It wasn't going to bring the car. The car was gone, but at that moment, you're my husband. I see that you're hurting. I see that this is, and you were crying. So this was deeply hurting you. So in that moment, it wasn't my time to say, oh, why you do that or this, that, and the other. That wasn't a time. At that time, it was for me to express my love for you and to show you, hey, it's going to be okay no matter what. It's going to be okay. I got your back. We may not have the car. Cars come and go, right? Money come and go. But in that moment, you needed me to support you and to back you up and to really to hold you up in that moment, because that's what you really needed. That's what I saw that you needed in that moment. So that wasn't a time for me to say, I told you so, or we shouldn't have never did that. No, I'm never going to, I don't desire to be that type of wife. That was never my heart posture then, and it's not my heart posture now, and I don't want that to be my heart posture in the future. So because we're going to make mistakes. We're going to mess up, and there is going to be a time where we have to go to our spouse and tell our spouse, I messed up. And what are we going to do? What are we looking to receive from that spouse when we tell them we messed up and we did something? Are we looking for them to beat us up in that moment? No, we're not looking for that. We're going to be looking for some empathy in that moment as well. So, so that's where I was. So I knew I had your back no matter what. So.
Yeah, you've always had my back.
And you've always had mine.
Ride or die.
Ride or die. Listen, we rolling together no matter what.
Rolling together, ride or die.
The storms, the waves, I'm rolling with you. And I know you rolling with me. So, and I think that was something that we established from the very beginning. We established when we had our premarital counseling that divorce wasn't an option. So when we took our vows, we took them and we meant them. We meant our vows. We meant every word of them. And I can honestly say in the last 21 years that even though we may not have gone through all of those things, those vows that we have made, we may not have, come up against some things, but I can honestly say, the richer or the poor part of it, I can speak on that because I think when, as time, and this will take us to another place as well, as far as the finances, we've had a lot of struggles throughout our marriage. People don't see that part. They see what they see now. They don't see what went on in the kitchen. They don't see the pots and the pans and all of that stuff, all of the stuff that was thrown and, the pots, the things that were broken, the missing dishes. They didn't see any of those things. So they only see what's served to them right now and what they're receiving right now. But there were times when we weren't able to get gas. There were times, I remember, when you were at the gas station and you didn't have enough money to get gas. So you had to run from the gas station because we probably lived probably like 2 blocks away. You ran from the gas station to the house to get some pennies so that you can get gas.
The piggy bank.
Piggy bank. Yeah. See, you know that well.
Piggy bank full of pennies.
You know that well. When we had to go to the dollar store, we had $20. $20 that we had to make ends meet until the next time I got paid, or you got paid $20, and we had to go to the dollar store and we had to make it do what it do, and we did it. We did that. So when I think about, those things, those times, and us going through those moments, and this is very important, that we learned later on how the enemy attacks our marriage, right? And we learned that the enemy attacks our marriage and our finances. And anytime that the enemy tried to come, it was always through finances. Always. He couldn't come up against us with some of the other things, right? But with finances, we got some proof, some evidence about that stuff, how the
Got
enemy.
receipts.
We got receipts. We got some receipts on that, right? About how he attacks us, and even how the enemy try to attack us with our finances, even till today. But we know the trick of the enemy, so we know we can recognize when he's coming. And I think that that's very important, that we have been able to recognize the attacks of the enemy when it comes to our marriage. And that has been the main tactic that he has tried, one of the main tactics that he has tried to use as far as our finances, to try to, to do whatever it is that he was trying to do in our marriage. But it did not work, because now we know that when he's coming. Because what? The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And that's what he tried to do. But it didn't happen. It didn't work, because we were always had each other back. No matter what happened, we always had each other back. No matter what.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, throughout the process of our journey, we've always been givers, despite, whatever our financial situation was. But since you highlighted the fact that we've always had, throughout the course of our marriage, we've experienced financial challenges, let's put it that way, right? What's something that stands out to you, or, because the Bible says that, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So, here's an opportunity for quote unquote testimony service just for you. The floor is yours. You got something that you remember that, I don't know. I mean, we got so many stories to talk about when we talk about finances. I'm reminded of when we started our business. Well, when we started our business, in our home. We were in a townhouse, and our dining room was our office.
Yep.
So we had one desk, one chair, one computer, and one printer, and that was our office.
11 years ago.
And so, we would get up in the morning, and it's funny because when we first started, you were working as a assistant director of nursing at a nursing home, I think, at that time. AD and ON. You were
a unit manager.
You were a unit manager. And so you came home and you was like, yeah, I quit today. I'm like, what? You did what? Don't you know we just started a business and the only income that's coming in right now is from your job? Because at that particular time, I was home. I was on a leave of absence from residency. And we started the business during that time. And so I'm trying to, help us get up off the ground. And your income is like the only thing that's coming in. And then you come in like, I quit.
Well, before we get to I quit, right? So I was working, he was home, and I just want to say this too, for the women that may have a spouse that may not be working, and you may be the spouse that's working. One thing I do recall is when I was working and you weren't working, that I never made you feel like you weren't working. I always made you feel like you were the head. When I got paid, my check went into the bank, and I allowed you to be the one that managed the money. I never said, oh, this is my check, and why you this and why you that, and da da da. I always tried to make you feel like you were the man of the house, no matter what.
Yeah, and you did a good job of that. I applaud you, cause I always feel like I am the man. We got a saying in our house, and she know what I'm getting ready to say, but this is our saying. We have, and this is from the children, y'all. We have 3 children. We haven't talked about the children, but we have 3 children.
3.
And so one Christmas, my son comes home. He brought us Christmas mugs for Christmas. He brought us coffee mugs for Christmas. And one mug said, "This is for the boss." And the other mug says, "This is for the real boss." And so, just so you all know, I had the mug that said, "This is for the boss." So everybody in the house knows who the real boss is. So that's a running joke in our house.
Yes, it is.
Because truth be told, everybody know.
You're the boss.
Yeah,
You
I had the final say.
you have the final say.
But
I
I still,
I like when you give me that
yeah,
those
of course.
those accolades, like, make me feel like I am the real boss. But you are the boss,
Look, let me tell you something.
and I have no problem.
I
with
mean,
that.
but if you being real, women always have the most influence. Like, men have power, but women have influence. So when men are trying to exercise their power, if you think about it, all a woman has to do is exercise her influence. She influences the power. So once you understand that, it makes your life much easier.
Y'all
So
hear that, ladies?
I know I have power, but you got influence over my power. So
Yes.
ultimately, you can pretty much navigate if you know what you're doing.
If
You
know
gotta
what
be
you're doing.
intentional about it. You gotta be smart. Now, I'm not saying you manipulate,
No manipulation.
but you can be led by the Lord.
I guess I've done a great job of that, huh?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Cause you make me feel like a man.
Okay.
You make me feel like a man.
Yes. Thank you, Jesus. No, I'm serious, because that's my desire. I would never want to make you feel less than a man. I don't ever want to make you feel less than the head of our house.
Yeah.
That's my heart.
Yeah.
Even when I have my moments and I'm, tripping.
Yeah, and that's funny because I was telling we were having a conversation with our daughter.
I took you off this. We're gonna go back.
I'm gonna go back
Okay.
real quick. We were having a conversation with our daughter, and we were talking about one of the things I used to say early on in our marriage, and it's a scripture from the Bible. It says it's better to be on the rooftop than in the house with a quarrelsome wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a scripture I used to quote to myself early on in our marriage. Because, Shontae, she's straight out of B-more for real. So she has a mouth on her. Like, when it come down to it, she can go. She can go with the best of them. And early on in marriage, you just say the word go, and it was gone. But, over the years, that has changed.
Yes. I've gotten
I think
so much better.
Yeah. See how mild-mannered that was? Yes.
I have. It's true. I've gotten so much better, and I'm excited. I'm proud of myself that I have gotten to this point, because I used to run my mouth. I used to run my mouth with the best of them. Like,
You still can.
I still can, but I believe that I know how to bring it in now.
Yeah.
And I don't need you to bring me in. I can bring it in myself.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. So I'm learning some self-control.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing for me. So
yeah, we were talking about starting a business in our home, and that you actually came home and you left the job, you had quit because you were frustrated with the fact that there was a certain quality of care you were expecting to see given to the patients, and they weren't getting that. And then you could not reprimand the staff because of union issues and all of that. And so you came home and you just like, yeah,
I quit.
I quit.
I'm done. I'm over it.
And I'm thinking like, really, we just started a business and it's Christmas time
It's Christmas time.
and you quit your job. And I'm like, Lord have mercy, what are we going to do? Because the business wasn't generating enough revenue
It wasn't.
to support a family. It wasn't generating enough revenue to support a person.
It wasn't, because really the money that was coming in was enough money to come in to pay the staff that we had at that time. So we had enough money, but that money was going to our staff and our rent, car payment, because we were still looking out the window trying to figure out when they was going to come and get the car.
Yeah. So not only did so before we even get to that, we celebrated Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were home, and I remember this Christmas vividly because it was one of those Christmases where we literally had no money.
No money.
And so all we could do was, at that time, was it T-Mobile or Sprint?
T-Mobile.
So we went to T-Mobile and we got phone plans and we just put the kids on it because it was like free phone. You get, you sign up for the plan, you get free phone. And so we signed up and we got the kids cell phones for their Christmas.
Because I think that's what they had asked for.
Thank God that's what they asked for, because if it wasn't, they wouldn't be
They asked
getting
for
nothing.
cell phones. Yep.
But that's all we could afford. And we didn't have to pay for it. It was free. And so it worked out for us because they got what they asked for. And we got the joy of watching them open those gifts, knowing that, we really couldn't afford to give them the type of Christmas that we wanted to in our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a beautiful moment for us. But during that time, the business didn't really generate any revenue. And so, we're just making enough to pay our staff. And so, of course, like you said, I'm parking the car like 2-3 blocks away because I'm expecting the repo man to be driving through the neighborhood at night.
Any moment.
We're getting pink notes on the door slip, saying that we need to appear in court to deal with eviction notices. And so it was a trying time in marriage, but it did not separate us. Like, I think those times really brought us together.
It really did.
And, the silver lining is that even though we lost the car and even though we lost our home at that time,
We still had each other.
we still had each other. Yep. We still had each other, and we grew together, not only in our marriage, but we grew together as a family. Our children got to see us build a business from the ground up and understand that even during adverse times, if you believe in God and you walk in faith, walk by faith and not by sight, and you believe God's plan for you, you can actually manifest. And so, they had the benefit of seeing that because they had they witnessed it firsthand. And so even now when we talk to them, they, when they going through their own life issues, they can fall back on those experiences because they know what it's like to actually trust God for something and watch him bring it into manifestation if you really believe.
Yeah.
And so, I think that we've come a long way. We'll have many opportunities to talk a little bit more about our story because it's filled with many layers. But I think the most beautiful thing about it is that we've continued to grow together. We've continued to grow in love. And even when we've chosen to do different things in our life, it's always been something that's brought us closer together. So,
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
One thing that I can say in regards to you, and you know, it has, all of the things that has occurred in our lives and our marriage over these last 21 years. I wouldn't change anything. But one thing I do love most about you is how you love me. I love how you love me. I love how you carry me. I love how you uh, take care of me. I love that about you. And I know, I have been in relationships prior, never married, first time, never married before, but I love the way that you love me. I've never had anyone to love me the way that you love me. And that's when I saw like God's love for me, his everlasting love for me, is when he sent you. Because when he talks about the exceedingly and the abundantly above all that you could ask, think, or imagine, that's what I imagine. That's what I get from you loving me. I just love the way that you love me. And I love the fact that this is not something that we are doing, to showcase ourselves. This is not something that we're doing so people can see and so people can gravitate to us, and we put on this front for people or put on this facade. This is real. This is really our life. This is what you see in the front is what we're doing in the background. So when people, you see him love me, he's loving me behind the scenes. He's loving me when I'm not feeling my best. He's loving me when I don't feel like going any further, when I don't feel like in the moment of walking in the assignment, when I feel like it's too much. I love how you love me with a everlasting love. I love that.
Gotta preach.
I love that because I never experienced that love. That's why it's easy for me to love you. That's why it's easy for me to pump you up. That's why it's so easy for me to stalk you.
Stalker behavior.
Yes. I listen, I'm gonna do that because of how you love me, and that means so much because God says that what we desire to be loved, right? And the husband is to love the wife like like Christ loved the church. And you love me like Christ loved the church. And I feel that every day. I feel that every single day. I feel that when you hug me. I feel that when you kiss me. I feel that when you speak to me. I feel that when you express whatever it is that you need to express. I feel that when I do something stupid and you just show me love. I feel that when you forgive me before I even apologize. I feel your love. And that means so much to me. I've never experienced a love like that. And I can say that because I know that God loves me with an everlasting love because he sent you me. And I feel that. I feel that. Unconditional. That unconditional love. And you have done that. And that's why I believe that, and I know that we're going to have so many conversations and we got so many different stories that we can tell, that we can tell, talk to married people, the ones that looking to get married, the single, all of them, we can tell them those stories. But to have a man that loves you with his everything, and I feel that. With your everything, every fiber, I'm telling you, I feel that. And I love that. I love that. I love how you love me. But I may have gone somewhere else with that. But I just love that. And I think that's important that you have, that you feel that love in your relationship. Just like you want to be, honored and respect. Even though I had a difficult time doing that sometimes, right? I missed the mark in that. I have no problems with saying that. I've missed the mark in that. But I don't think that you've missed the mark in loving me. I don't. But I have missed the mark in honoring you and respecting you at times. And it may not have been at a great level that I may have disrespected you or not honored you, but I have done it. I have. But I think, I have grown such leaps and bounds, since, just everything, just life. But as we continue to grow, I think I've learned to honor you and respect you in a different way. And not I can show it more so than say it, if that makes sense. Because I can run this trap and it'll get me in trouble. And, but
Yeah, I think John Legend said it this way: actions speak louder than love songs.
yes.
So I just quoted John Legend for y'all. Actions speak louder than words. And so, you know, it's important that I affirm you with my words. Because, there's power, there's life and death in the power of the tongue. But the actions behind my words are just as important. And so I think that I try to be intentional about not only how I speak to you, but how I display my feelings and my affection and my love. And so, yeah. So
You did that. You are doing that, brother.
hey,
You are
hey,
doing that. But I know that you're not doing that on your own. You have a choice in loving me. You do. But I believe that because your desire to please the Father, I believe that also has a lot to do with it as well. And I think that for us, we are intentional about our marriage. We're intentional about our relationship. We're intentional about our communication. We're intentional about all those different areas in our lives because we know this is it. Divorce is not an option for us. That door is closed. And we got that, divorce was not an option when we had our premarital counseling from, Elder Gussie and Brother Fritz. We got, marriage, a divorce was not an option. And they said it should never come up in a conversation. You should never bring it up when you're mad. You should never bring it up. And I can say it with all of my everything that I have never thought about getting a divorce, wanting a divorce, saying it out loud. We have never said it in 21 years. That got to be God, right?
absolutely.
That has to be God. Because the first thing, a lot of times, and I always say, I said, God, I went through so much prior to my marriage and, previous relationships. I was like, God's just like, I'm just going to give it a bang right now. I'm just going to do it for her. I'm just going to bless her above all that she can ask, think, or imagine when he gave you me, honey. I'm like, look, you did your thing, God. He did his thing. I'm telling you. I am a blessed woman, and that's why I don't have a problem with showing my love and affection for you. That's why I don't have a problem with pumping you up and telling you how fine you are and telling you, woo, baby, I don't got a problem with that, stalking you in the office. I don't have a problem with that. I don't. I know how blessed I am. I know. So, and I'm thankful. And I'm thankful that the path that God has us on, and I'm not doing this by myself. I'm thankful that we get to do this together. I'm thankful that we get to contribute to the health and the wealth of marriages together. We don't have to do it. I don't have to do this by myself. You don't have to do it by yourself. We get to do it together because we believe in it. We work towards it. So that is, I'm excited. I'm excited about what God has done, what he's going to do. I'm excited about the marriages that are going to be, that's going to be rebuilt. I'm grateful and excited about the restoration that is going to come because there are going to be some marriages out here that may be on the brink of a divorce. And just by being in the midst of this, God is going to speak to you in such a way where you're going to be able to say, I don't want a divorce. And you're not even going to know where, you're not even going to know where it came from, but you're going to know that it was God and you're going to know where it took place. And I believe that that's what is going to happen for married couples. I believe that. I believe by faith that marriages are going to be restored because of what is going to transpire here.
So I'm glad you shared your heart, because that is exactly why we're doing this. We believe that, number one, we believe in marriage. Marriage is important to us, and we believe in building marriages. But most importantly, we believe in obeying God. And so we think
Yes.
that this is an a step in obedience for us to actually do this, to step outside of our comfort zone, and to sort of shine a light on our relationship, which is something we don't normally do unless we're in a safe space. And so this is definitely a God moment for us.
Yes.
But we'll allow him to use it however he sees fit and to touch whoever he chooses to touch. But we believe that from this moment forth, the content that shall come forth will be uh, divinely breathed over
Yes.
by our Father, and that our lives will be touched and changed, and marriages will be built and renewed and restored. And I'm excited. I'm excited about what's to come,
Yes. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I get to do it with my husband.
and we get to do it together.
Yes.
Absolutely, wouldn't have it any other way.
Yes.
So that's it. We're gonna wrap it up for this particular episode of Richer or Poor Marriage Podcast. We thank you for deciding to spend some time with us. Hopefully, you were able to pick something up, and we didn't bore you with our story or our laughter or our love.
Yes.
Hopefully, you felt that, and you'll decide to join us the next time. We look forward to seeing you. Thank you for sharing some time with us. Till next time, be blessed.